Hi there. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to ask you an important question. Are you wondering why your hard work isn't reflecting in your bank account? If so, I've got something that could change the game for you. With my Digital Product Accelerator one-on-one coaching program, I'm on a mission to help entrepreneurs like you bank consistent revenue without sacrificing your time or sanity. Imagine shifting from 90% client-facing work to enjoying consistent revenue from your digital products, all while reclaiming your time. You already know that you don't need another course, and a one-size-fits-all approach isn't going to cut it. What you need is a strategic, long-term plan tailored just for you. So if you're ready to build the profitable, freedom-giving business you've dreamed of, apply to work with me by going to destinycop.com/apply. I cannot wait to learn more about you and your business. Welcome to the Course Creators MBA podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Destiny Kopp, and I help business owners increase their revenue with digital products and automated sales funnels. In this podcast, we tell the stories of ordinary business owners just like you. We talk about their story and how they got started, the challenges they've experienced, and how they overcame them. These are discussions with real people who understand what it's like to own an online course or membership business. Before we begin our show today, I want to let you know that this episode is sponsored by our flagship Course in a Box program, which helps you create your revenue-generating course in less than a week. Course in a Box is available on AppSumo at a special deal, and you can learn more about Course in a Box by visiting the link in the show notes. Let's jump right into our show. And today, my special guest is Rachel Lindteigan. Rachel is a marketing expert with more than 20 years of experience in traditional and digital marketing. She specialized in SEO and content marketing for over a decade and worked with some of the biggest e-commerce retailers during her corporate career. Her clients regularly earn 10 figures a year from SEO alone. She left the corporate world late in 2016 and founded Etched Marketing in 2017. She works with small business owners and provides SEO and content services. In 2020, she launched Etched Marketing Academy, simple SEO program, and teaches overwhelmed course creators, coaches, and online entrepreneurs how to use SEO in an easy to understand way so that they can get more traffic from Google without buying ads. Rachel, thank you so much for joining me. I'm super excited to jump into our discussion today, learn more about your story and how you've maneuvered through online entrepreneurship.
Thank you so much for having me today. It's a great honor to be here with you.
So why don't you jump right in, tell the audience a little bit more about your story and how you got started into what you're doing today.
All right. I would love to. So like many people, especially once you get to that mid to upper level management position, I ended up in a situation where I was laid off. The agency that I worked for was sold to an investment firm, and they decided to reduce staff, reduce that middle management layer. I was the senior director of content marketing and SEO. So they were sold. I was laid off. And as I started looking around, trying to find my next role, what was the next best move for me, for my career, I realized it wasn't in the corporate world. While I loved being an SEO, a content marketer, a strategist, running a team, I oversaw teams in 3 different states. It was amazing. At the time I was laid off, I had a little boy who was 16 months old. And the career that I had loved when I was single and before I had a family, I didn't love as a mom with such a young child. So I looked around, I interviewed for a number of positions, and I really came to the conclusion that I didn't want to go back to the corporate world. I wanted to go out on my own. And it was with my husband's blessing, a little bit of push on his part, honestly, to help me feel that I was ready to do it. I launched Etched Marketing in April of 2017, and I made the decision not to go back to the corporate world. And in doing that, I actually removed myself from consideration for a position as the director of content marketing for an e-commerce company with over 800 locations on the morning of interview number 7, when I was supposed to be meeting with both the president and the CEO that day. We made the decision I was not going to do it because, as we talked about it, my husband commented, "You don't want this job, you want the paycheck." And it was very true. I wanted to go back to earning 6 figures, but I didn't want to go back to the corporate world. So I founded Etched. I started working with small business owners, entrepreneurs, helping them with their SEO, helping them create marketing plans, really teaching them what they needed to know. Loved it, worked fantastic with my son, being able to have him in preschool, have me work, have the flexibility that I needed for my family. In the interim, my husband took a new position, my family relocated to a different city. I was able to keep moving without missing a beat because I had built a business of my own. Then COVID hit. And I worked with a lot of small business owners, and small business owners were hit really hard by COVID. So I had to start looking at where could I pivot. And that's how I ended up in really developing the online course for SEO and teaching SEO. And I can share more about that. It was kind of a long and winding road to that particular course, but that's how I got to where I am right now.
I love what your husband said to you. You don't want this job. You just want the paycheck.
Yeah.
That is so powerful.
It is.
That would have been, I'm sure that was like one of your aha moments. I really need to go out and do this.
Yeah.
So in April of 2017, you decided not to go back. You started your business. Who were you working with at that point in time? I knew you were working with small business owners, but describe that in a little bit more detail.
Technically, I didn't have a single client when I removed myself from consideration for that job. I didn't have anybody. It was a huge leap of faith. So once it was September when I signed my first client, and then I signed 3 or 4 in a matter of a couple of weeks. I worked with a Medicare insurance agent. I worked with a company that was a manufacturer for cannabis products, of all things. I worked with a travel blogger. I worked with somebody in the education space. So small businesses, coaches, all sorts of different people, really to get my business going and start making some money and figure out exactly where my niche was going to be.
So did it take you from April 2017 to September of that year to find your first client?
It did, because just because you decide you're going to go into business for yourself doesn't mean that it happens overnight. I was very lucky because I'd been in the corporate world for so long. A lot of my first clients came from referrals from people I had worked with in the corporate world over the years. So my network really helped me launch.
And that was one of the questions I was going to ask you is how did they find you? So that was a great segue. So you did this for some time. Walk me through what was your rationale for going into developing the online course, and tell me about that experience.
Yeah. So I knew when I started trying to take clients, I had a number of people who I talked to where I didn't win the business, because while they wanted to work with me, they couldn't afford to hire me to do it for them. It was outside of their budget. And that was part of why it took me a while to really find those first couple of clients. So my husband, who is my biggest supporter, I am so lucky to have him. He and I sat down and talked about it. And I said, I feel like I need an offering for someone who can't afford to hire me yet. And he said, I think so too. You need to grow your clients. So our initial thought was we'd create these online courses to help people to grow them to the point that they were earning enough revenue. They could then hire me to do the done for you services. then I realized how much I love the thought of just having that online training business as the bigger part of what I do. Because for many years in the corporate world, I led training workshops for the companies I worked for my clients. I led training meetings with clients. I love training people. So it became a natural fit, but it was not my first thought as to where we were going with the business.
So how long did it take you to create the course? What was the process that you went through? And tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay, so I've created a couple of courses over the years. So the very first one I created was an SEO fundamentals course. And it was everything that somebody needed to know to do SEO. And it was based on everything I had done in the corporate world. And it flopped. And I walked away from it thinking nobody wanted to learn SEO. They were more interested in Facebook ads, Instagram ads, etc. What I know now, looking back on it, that was 2018. What I know now, looking back on it, is I created what they needed, not what they wanted. And there's a huge difference. And that's one of the mistakes that I think people sometimes make when we're creating the courses.
So what did you do? Where did you go from there? What were your next steps?
So my next steps, I took the scenic route. So I was pretty sure nobody wanted to learn about SEO. So I went back to more of my background because I was getting more questions about marketing and how do I create a marketing plan and how do I market my business. So I started working on a marketing program and I started going through all the steps and trying to figure out what I was doing there and creating basically a program based upon a marketing training workshop that I did for new franchise owners when I was within a franchise organization's corporate office many years ago. And I did this whole training class that walked them through how to market their new business and how to create their marketing plan and their launch plan and their events and all of that. So I worked on that and I had some pretty good success with that. I launched it with a 5-day challenge and used some Facebook ads and ran them through a group. And I managed to build my group up to about 500 people. I had a little over 1,000 that went through or that signed up. Obviously, not everybody shows up for the webinar or the challenge, things like that. I did sell a few of that class. I had a few more people who did it as beta testers, and I had really, really, really good feedback. They loved it. Some of my beta testers and first students said it was more detailed than they were expecting. They didn't begin to understand how much was actually involved in marketing. And I had a couple people say, this is so good. If you added a little bit on how to start a business, this would be an entire course on creating and launching a business. So I thought that was my next logical step, was to do the revision on it, to turn it into that full business building program. So I did all my ideal customer interviews. I really went deep to make sure that I was coming with this with the correct strategic focus. And I had everything I needed. I made sure all my content on my website and my social and my YouTube channel and all of that for months was talking about building a business. I chose to niche down into a market very similar to myself, and that was busy working moms who were in the corporate world who wanted more income, but more than that, they wanted flexibility and control of their schedules because they had that family. So I worked on this and worked on it and worked on it. And I was ready to launch in March of 2020. And we know what happened in March of 2020. And suddenly I had a program I'd been working on for 6 months that was ready to go for an audience that was no longer interested in what I had to offer. So I had to pivot again because of COVID.
Hey there, Destiny here, and I'm the host of the Creators MBA podcast. And this episode is brought to you by HelloContent.shop, your go-to destination for content creation in your online digital product business. I understand how busy you are as an online business owner. I am right there with you. And that is why I have filled our Hello Content Shopify store with low-cost digital products that you can use as a lead magnet or part of your paid programs like your online courses or memberships. We also have marketing templates like email swipe files and social media templates designed to save you time and money. So whether you're looking to streamline your content strategy, enhance your digital products, or just save some precious time, I've got you covered, my friend. Now visit the hellocontent.shop today and take the first step towards effortless content creation. So you pivoted again.
Yep.
What did you, where did you go this time?
So I'll be honest, I kind of sat in the overwhelm for a little while because that was a lot of work.
I think everybody can relate to what you're describing.
Yeah. And my son went on spring break from preschool and never went back. And he was 4 years old at the time. So I kind of sat in the overwhelm of, what am I going to do? I can work an hour a day. So it took me a little while to figure that out. I was working with a couple people. I'm in a mastermind group, and I was just helping a few of them with SEO and marketing. And like they were launching websites and they'd have questions. And I was sitting with one of the gals doing a review of her website one day. And this was last fall. This was maybe August or September. And she asked me, she's like, why are you not teaching SEO? You are amazing at this. You understand it better than anyone I have ever met. And more than that, I understand what you're saying, and I don't understand SEO. And I said, because nobody wants to learn SEO. I tried that. That was the first course I did. Nobody wants to learn. And she challenged me and she said, I think you're wrong. I think people want to, and I think they need to. And I think you need to start at the beginning and you need to be focused on SEO. So I went back to the very first steps and I did ideal customer interviews. And what I found was they don't want to do SEO. There's a lot of should surrounding SEO. I should do it. I should learn it. I know it's important. I don't understand why. I'm not techie enough. It's above my pay grade. There's a lot of fear surrounding it. There's a lot of, I don't think I'm smart enough. I don't think I can do it. I'm overwhelmed. I try to read a blog post and I have to go to Google to figure out what the words are in the blog post. So it's scary to people. So what that helped me realize was my positioning needs to be that once you understand it, you're going to be amazed how easy it is, because SEO truly is a rinse and repeat process. The challenge is that so many of the people who teach it, and I don't know how to say this without sounding not mean, but just they're the techie nerdy boys. And I say that with love because I used to be their manager. I used to be their boss, and I would have to be on their calls with them to help explain it in real people terms. So I spent many years in the corporate world explaining SEO in a way that was easy to understand so that smart people who were not technical could get it. So that's what I spent 6 months researching, reviewing, interviewing, and revamping a program that is now on Evergreen, and everything focuses on how easy it is to understand and that you can learn it. And I offer a step-by-step process and hand-holding, because I know more than anything, what people want is that hand-holding to walk them through it to make sure that they get it right. And I'm so excited to be able to do that, to go back to my first love and just realize I was wrong. People do want to know, they just are afraid of it. And I can make it not so scary. That's easy for me.
I love the whole story that you just gave us there. And whoever was in your mastermind group that, kind of gently, nudged you to said, go back and, look at this again. I think she was brilliant, because I was sitting there thinking, I'd like to learn more about SEO. And I know how important it is, and extremely important for your website and driving organic traffic to your website. Yes. So you said right now that it's on Evergreen. So tell the audience a little bit about that, how you have it set up. Are you going to be launching it again soon? What are your next steps related to it?
Yeah, so it's on Evergreen because I realized that at this point in time, that is the best solution for me, for my business. And the thing is with SEO, you need to do it when you decide you're ready. Like nobody is going to decide, I want to learn SEO and then look at it and be like, oh, well, this class is available in 6 months. That's not helpful. SEO is one of those things that you need when you decide you're ready. It needs to be there and be available because the sooner you start, the sooner you get the results. So for both myself and my students, it is evergreen. I do have an evergreen funnel. So I have a couple of opt-ins. I have a free training webinar that is the 3 crazy easy secrets to getting found on Google. So you get more website traffic without buying ads. And I do get traffic to that, both organic, thank goodness, because that's my focus, as well as through paid ads. I have a YouTube channel that has tons of information on SEO, along with those links to the webinar and some of my opt-ins, things like SEO checklists and SEO quick start guides. I also have lots of blog posts because blog posts are an SEO's best friend when it comes to getting found on Google. I have tons of blog posts about SEO and how you do it and what's the most important and when to start it and all of that. So it just, at this point, it's more about revising and adjusting my funnel based on results. So recently I found I was kind of losing people at a specific point in the webinar. So I went back through and I looked at the data and where was I losing them, and I've revised it, and I'm going to be re-recording the webinar and launching it this week so that I can hopefully improve that portion of the funnel. And that's really where I'm at now, is analyzing the data, which I'm a data nerd. So I love that part of it, analyzing the data and then adjusting my strategy based on results.
So may I ask what software you're using for your evergreen sales funnel for your webinar?
Yeah, absolutely. So I use Easy Webinar.
Okay.
I like the fact that they have the additional data. I can see if people ask questions, I'm alerted to it. I know what percentage of it they're attending. I know if they've shown up or not, if they've asked questions, all of that. I just like the additional data in the background.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So, Rachel, you've kind of taken some twists and turns here. What do you see as the next steps in your business for this year?
So for this year, I'm going to continue working on the SEO course and really optimizing that funnel so that it is performing outstandingly well. That's my goal. Isn't that everybody's goal? And then I'm starting to look at some of those small offers, really deciding where I'm going to go next. I think what I'm going to do is to develop a small offer funnel that's focused on that original marketing training workshop that I did a couple of years ago, because there was so much really good response to that. But what I'm finding from the research is people don't want a big, huge marketing training program. They'd like something smaller and easier. And I think it's a perfect fit for a small offer, or one of those like $197 maximum type offers, which will likely go on Evergreen as well.
And that would be great, because it sounds like you have all the content there, and maybe you just repurpose it and repackage it in a different way. So I love that for you.
Yeah.
We are going to, and I would love to make this all about learning about SEO. So I'll have to have you on the podcast at a later date and kind of do a more teaching type episode and kind of delve into SEO, because it's definitely something I'm interested in. But also I think all business owners out there who have a website need to learn SEO.
Oh, I would love that. Happy to do that. I love to teach it. And yes, it is, in my opinion, the single most important marketing channel out there, because once you figure it out, it is unstoppable and it's free. There is no better combo.
You've been doing this for a few years. You've obviously taken some, went back to your original love. And I love the fact that you didn't give up on that, because that, that would have been disastrous. What advice do you have for other online course creators or entrepreneurs out there?
Don't give up. if you do something, I think there's too much focus on this overnight success. And I think that we go into it expecting that we're going to have these 5-figure launches the very first time out the door. That's not necessarily the reality. But if you don't experience that, it doesn't mean that you've failed or you've done it wrong or you've made a mistake. It means there's a lesson to be learned. There's something in that data. There's something to tweak. Your opportunity is still there as long as you keep moving towards it and making some adjustments and kind of figuring out where is it broken? What do I need to fix?
Yeah, and I think that's great advice. And you're a perfect example of not giving up on something that you knew that was in your wheelhouse and that people actually want. Can you let people know, Rachel, where they can find you?
Absolutely. So my website is etchedmarketing.com. You can find me on social at Etched Marketing Academy, and that would be on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. You can find me in all three. That free SEO class that I mentioned, if you really want to learn how to use SEO, that free class is available right on my homepage. Just go to the website, etchedmarketing.com. You're going to see it right there at the top of the page.
And I will make sure all of those links are in the show notes, and the link for that free SEO course is there too, so people can find you. Rachel, thank you so much for joining me today. I loved hearing about your story and how you moved from your corporate job into online entrepreneurship and the journey you've taken from there. It was very inspirational.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate you having me here, and I look forward to doing another one where we can talk about SEO and help people really understand how to use it to grow their businesses too.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you love the show, we'd appreciate a review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast platform, and show us some love there. Have a great rest of your day, and bye for now.